What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Bible Wisdom. Today, I wanted to segment this into a Jesus marriage and talk about being humble, in your marriage and overcoming fighting. I went to a marriage seminar just, I would say, within 3 days, 3 days ago at my church. And it was run by Les and Leslie Parrott, and they're believers in Jesus. And some of the points that they were saying about overcoming fighting is that you need to be able to fight well. They had a little print card that you can get on their website, lesandleslie.com, I think it is. But you can Google their names. I think it's Parrot, like the bird, Les and Leslie, Les, L-E-S. I can probably put a link in the description to their website. But anyway, they had a card there. And one of the things that they say in their book is to make sure you know what you guys are arguing about. So when you're in a fight with your spouse, you can just be angry because you're angry and you know to be angry. But then when you are coming down to it, you should ask the question, what are we really fighting about? What is this about? And so instead of trying to get your point across, you should seek to understand what your spouse is trying to say. And then husbands, we are to love our wife at all times. And so we're not to be prideful. We're not to be harmful to them. We're not supposed to get in their face. But anyway, he and Leslie and Les, they talked about, it was called Fight Night. I'm not sure if my church is streaming it. If you go to Christian Faith, Federal Way, maybe on their YouTube channel, I don't know if they streamed it or not. It did cost money. So, but anyway, they had a card there that you can download on their website, and basically on the card, it's 10 different categories of how angry you are, or not necessarily how angry you are, but what is the kind of importance of what you're trying to get across. So for example, let's say you want the kitchen cabinets painted blue in your house, but your spouse wants them painted red or something. And so this is just an example, but you have this card to say, how much you care about it. So 5 would be, oh, I care about it kind of a lot, but it's not as much as a 10. And your spouse could have, a 6 or a 7 on the card. And so your spouse cares more about the kitchen cabinets being a certain color, and one person doesn't really care that much, but they still care. And so in that case, you would go with the person who cares more and how serious it is to them. So 10 on the card, it's kind of funny because 10 is over my dead body. And so it's basically saying, like, absolutely not. Like, I do not want this certain situation. So maybe I'll try to find the link to that card and put it in the description of this video. Also try to put the link to their website in the description of this video. But anyway, some of the things that they said about when you're in conflict with your spouse is, the first thing I said earlier in this video was to, one, know what you're arguing about. They said money is some of the biggest cause of serious conflict in a marriage is money. And so firsthand, wow, that is something that I should watch out for. And so maybe you guys should come into agreement. You and your spouse need to come into agreement about who is to handle the money in the family, but also you guys should make decisions together. One thing is to have a limit of, we'll talk about if we spend money over $100 or so, you have to ask your other spouse if this is okay. It's not necessarily a woman to a guy, but even a guy should ask his wife, hey, is this purchase over $100 okay to make? But if it's under $100, then you guys should. It's okay to purchase it without asking. But anyway, you should obviously 100 it's just an example. Depending on how much you make, maybe that limit is $50, or maybe that limit is $25. Anything over $25, you have to ask your spouse. But that's one example of overcoming tension in an argument. But also, when you do something wrong, instead of just saying sorry, also confessing what you did wrong. So, for example, sorry is something that you do if you kind of, it's important to say sorry, but I guess what my point is, God wants us to confess, so the other person actually knows, hey, this is what I did wrong. For example, let's say you promise to not yell or something, and you accidentally yelled at your spouse. And so instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, saying something like, hey, I yelled at you when I wasn't supposed to yell at you, or I didn't mean to yell at you, and it's wrong to yell at you, and so I'm sorry. And so confessing kind of what it is that is wrong can be helpful. And then also they talked about praying with your spouse. Praying with your spouse is a good way to build intimacy between you and your spouse, because you're inviting God, Jesus, into the marriage relationship. For guys, husbands, love your wife, right? In Ephesians, it talks about that as Christ loved the church. And so sometimes we need to be able to be humble, and in our relationship we need to be able to say something along the lines of, I'm able to make mistakes, this is where I went wrong, and I'm able to do something wrong. I don't want to do something wrong, but having a humility about yourself where you're able to see where you're going wrong or what you're not doing well. Instead of, the opposite of humility would be saying something like, I always do everything right. I'm never wrong. I'm never mean. I'm never, sinful. That's not true. And so being able to admit your failure and get help. Another part of humility is being able to listen to advice. If you're the type of person that you just don't want to hear what, maybe if you're a woman, what older women have to say to you about loving your husband, of course you shouldn't listen to people who are trying to break you up, break your relationship up. But if you're not, or if you're a man, you're not listening to godly men and who have successful marriages about how to successfully navigate marriage, then we need to be able to reevaluate ourselves and say, am I humble? And so, of course, it is a challenge being humble. I admit that, sometimes I think, oh, I'm right, or I'm doing this so well or something. And so you have to be able to say, there's other people that do things well. There's other people that do things better. God is greater than us. And instead of thinking, Jesus, he himself mentioned that a servant is not greater than his master. And so Jesus knows us. And so he even talked to us about, we can sometimes think that we're greater than our own master. And so we have to be careful about that. So anyway, I hope you got something from this video. I hope you like this video. Remember to just be humble, to be have humility, you know, and then also apply those how to overcome a fight, and that is seeking to understand your spouse. You guys aren't enemies, you're on the same team. And so being able to remember to be kind to your spouse, remember to say I'm sorry, and then also sacrificing. I had to learn to sacrifice the things that are destroying my marriage. So whether that be alcohol, whether that be pornography, or just how I'm treating my spouse, being able to realize what you're doing wrong is important. And then also getting counsel. A book said that marriage counseling, maybe you and your spouse need to go to marriage counseling, and then also continue to go to church. Jesus mentioned in his parable about how someone got married and they didn't go to the wedding feast. And that's in the Gospels. If you're looking, you can Google the wedding feast parable. But basically, keep going to church, keep being godly, keep resisting sin, know what sin is, know what is a sin, and then also know how to escape sin. And you can watch my other video about how to get free from sin. And so thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next video. See ya.